Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. You know, in Jewish law, there are two words that are very important. Ikar and Tafel. Ikar means the primary, and Tafel means the secondary. Why are these two words so crucial? Because when it comes to the laws of blessings, the law is that if you have two foods that have two different blessings, you ask yourself which one is the primary food and which is the secondary food. So a basic example is, if you're having a sandwich, a turkey sandwich, well, the blessing on the bread is hamotzi. The blessing on turkey is shahakol. But you don't have to make two blessings. You just make a blessing on the bread because the main aspect of the sandwich is the bread, not the turkey. And therefore, you just focus on the ikar. In this week's Torah portion, the two tribes of Gad and Reuven come to Moses. And they say, Moses, I know the Jewish people are about to cross over into the land of Israel, but this land that we're on the eastern bank of the Jordan is very fertile for our flock. It's a good land for pasture. And therefore we prefer to receive our inheritance on the eastern bank of the Jordan, and we will build pens for our flock and cities for our children. And Moses rebukes these two tribes and says, no, if you want to come and conquer the land and resettle on the eastern bank, that is fine. But what you should do is build cities for your children and pens for your flock, reversing the order of the two tribes. And Rashi comments and says that what Moses was saying is, make what is primary, ikar, and tafel. Don't build pens for your flock before you build cities for your children. Focus on what's most important, which is your family, your children, your spouses, and then worry about your flock, your material possessions and assets. And this is a lesson for all of us until today, that in life it's very easy to get distracted and focus on what's secondary. How many times are we standing or sitting next to our spouses or our children, and instead of talking to them, we're texting or looking at social media? Or how often do we obsess over sweating the small stuff rather than looking at the big picture and the blessings of life? And I got this lesson last night. Dini and I were going to an amazing health fair here in the city of Jerusalem, and on the way the taxi got diverted. Now this week's Torah portion is Maaseh, the journeys, but it really talks about the encampments. And the question is, why does it say these are the journeys? Why doesn't it say these are the resting places, the 42 encampments in the desert? And the Rabbi explains that even when we rest in life, even when we have pauses or detours, it's part of our journey to the ultimate destination. Sometimes life throws us a curveball, but that's part of our journeys. Or we have to have a delay or a period of waiting in our lives that could be annoying. And we want to progress, but we have to realize that it's all part of the journey. So here we are going to this health fair, and suddenly there's a detour. And we ask the taxi driver, why is there a detour? And he says, oh, there's hafganot, there's protests about judicial reform. And so, sure enough, we go around on the detour and we pass this demonstration. And after hearing about these demonstrations going on in Israel for almost a year now, I got to witness one for the first time. And my perspective changed drastically from what I've read about in the media. You see, there were hundreds and hundreds of people, all carrying large, beautiful Israeli flags with music playing and singing. And suddenly, instead of seeing these protesters as just being disruptors, I said, look, even when they protest, they're patriotic, they express love for their country, they do it with joy, with singing. And instead of seeing the negative, I said, you know what? Thank God Israel's a democratic country. People could voice their opinion. There were police all around protecting their right for free speech. And even when they protest, they do it with love for their country. They do it with proud Israeli flags. They do it with song and with joy and with unity and with camaraderie. And I'm leaving Israel with a new perspective that even when we disagree, we can do it in the most positive manner. And instead of seeing the negative, seeing the fact that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, with such protests are not squashed by the government, but protected. Have a wonderful day.